Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about whether or not I think it is worth it or not to summon on the 2024 Legends Fest Part 1 banners. We have Transforming LF Vegito Blue, and then we have Transforming Rose Goku Black. So there's two things I just want to mention before we get into the meat of the discussion here. The first one is going to be if you are just a big Vegito fan or if you are just a big Goku Black / Rose fan. I would think that that's probably a higher priority for somebody that is a fan of the character to summon, rather than me talking about is the banner worth it in terms of the value of your Chrono Crystal. So I think if you're just going to have fun using the units, regardless of how good they are, then I would say just go ahead and summon. So that's number one. And then number two, I haven't really had the chance to use these characters to the extent that I would have liked to be able to say definitively, you should definitely be summoning for, Vegito, or definitely be summoning for Rose. More specifically, I think this applies more to Rose, just because this is more of a defensive character. And typically when it comes to defensive based units, they typically are more dupe dependent. And I've only done the initial showcases as I'm recording this for both of these characters. So I can't really speak to like the upper limits of these characters' potential here. So I'll mostly be focusing on my experience using these characters at like 3 stars, which is all I have so far. The way I like to do this is I like to look at, number one, the banner formats, and then number two, the featured lineup of characters. Now, the banner formats aren't much different than what we're used to. If you guys have been playing the game at any point in the past, I would say even like 3 years since Legends Fest 21, the LF step-up banner format has not really changed since then. So you guys are familiar with the exact same format for the Legends Limited step-up banners. So I'm not going to go through that. These are what I consider to be the best banner formats in the game, right? We have Legends Limited step-ups, which are these ones. We have, actually, there's 4 banner formats now. This one, we have Mega Rising banners, which I think are awful. We have Ultra Rising banners, which I don't think are particularly good, but the Ultra characters are always like the best units in the game. And then we also have the game original banner format, which we've only seen once with Goku and Bardock, but I imagine we will be seeing that in part 2 here. And I do think out of all of those formats, I would say quite easily the best banner format is the Legends Limited Step-Up format, which is what we have here. We have 2 Legends Limited Step-Ups. So right off the bat, I would say that the formats are pretty good for these banners. But even more so than that, the most important thing to look at are the lineup of featured characters. Now, if we take a look at Vegito's banner first, these are the lineup. This is the lineup of featured characters. So we have Vegito himself. I am pretty confident in saying, even after just using this character once, that Vegito is a very, very strong character. He's probably going to be very exceptional. I would probably say easily top 3 material, if not just straight up 2 or number 1. But I'm going to need a lot more practice with him and a lot more experience fighting with and against him to solidify, exactly where I'd place him on my top 10 list. But looking at the other featured characters on here, we have Fusing Gogeta Blue, we have Blue Kaioken Goku and Evolution Blue Vegeta, we have the father-son Gallic Gun Trunks and Vegeta. We have Green Trunks here now. I'm not really going to be able to make a bunch of comments about this character because we know for sure he's getting a Zenkai. I imagine his Zenkai will be coming out relatively soon, probably the 27th. So only about 4 or 5 days away from when this video goes live. So I'm not going to make too many comments about that Green Trunks. The only thing I'll say with him is that he is buffing green hybrids with his Zenkai ability. To me, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, and I don't think it really fits in with the other characters that are on this banner. So not really too sure why they did that, but I'm not going to be able to say how good or not good this character will be because we don't know what his Zenkai details are going to be yet. So I'm kind of going to leave him out of the discussion for now. Sword of Hope Trunks, green Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, blue Vegito Blue, green Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, and then the 1% sparking is I think is actually pretty good. We have Supreme Kai, who's solid. We have Pan, who's like not a factor at all. Bola, who's like mid. She's bad. Okay, that's it. So overall, how would I rank this banner out of like 10? If I'm going to rate it from 1 to 10, what would I rate it? I would honestly rate this banner like a 2 or a 3 out of 10. It is pretty bad. Right? You take a look at all the LF characters on here. Who is the only, besides Vegito, who are the characters you're actually bringing into PvP in even any kind of relatively competitive environment? The answer is you could bring these guys actually. Like people talk down about these Fusing Gogeta Blue quite often. And I definitely don't think fusing Gogeta Blue is the most competitive character. I mean, we see this directly in the release of Vegito. Vegito just straight up has a much more enhanced version of Gogeta's assault chain mechanic. It's just strictly power crept version of it. So I think that's them almost acknowledging that they did mess up with the assault chain mechanic, but the character is still usable. The character is still solid, at least, right, in PvP. So you can definitely bring them in on like a Fusion Warrior setup, on a Sun Family, Vegeta Clan setup. Like, the thing about this character, too, is they're on a lot of teams. God Key, Saiyans, Vegeta Clan, Sun Family, movies, right? They're on a billion teams. So I think the character is actually pretty valuable. So this is a pretty nice addition to this banner, I think, fusing Gogeta Blue. These guys are just... They released at an unfortunate time for what they're trying to accomplish, right? This character is a character that wants to be comboing for very long periods of time, and now with the addition of all these auto counter gauges, evasions, disrupt mechanics, it's very tough to make them work, so I'm a really huge fan of this character. These guys were almost just not very good on release, I would say, and they have their unique equipment now, so I would consider them to be mid at best. So not a very good character either. I'm going to skip this guy for now, like I said. Sword of Trunks is just aged out at this point. This guy's aged out at this point. This guy's way aged out at this point. Even with his equipment, he's just not doing much. And this guy is ancient. This is an ancient release. So really, the only valuable units on here, I guess I would throw Shin in there, Supreme Kai. Bulla, you could kind of give her like half a point. Mai, I think, should be pretty good, but again, not much experience with her so far, but she seems pretty competent for sure. And then I would say this guy's pretty good. And then, of course, Vegito's the main prize of the banner. But overall, when you're looking at how good this banner is, I think I'd probably settle on a 3 out of 10 for this banner, is what I would rate this. So overall, not a good score. I would not recommend summoning on this. Next, we have the Rose banner. Like I said at the beginning of the video, it's really hard for me to evaluate this transforming Goku Black right now, just because I would need much more experience. With him being a defensive character, it's hard to say, but I think that actually could factor in to your individual situation, right? If you're somebody who's not really going to be summoning for dupes of characters, if you only really want one copy of each character, and that's how you play the game, it's going to make it harder to find a lot of use out of a character like this. Again, similar to like Super Baby 2 or Ultra Legendary Super Saiyan Broly, when those characters first dropped, people were, getting one copy of... I remember this distinctly because I remember when people were pulling one copy of Super Baby 2, they were using when they were like, oh, he's terrible. But in reality, in like an even playing field, when every character is at 14 stars or every character is at 3 stars or whatever it is, he was actually insane. Well, yeah, I would actually say he was insane. Yeah, I would probably classify him as insane on release. He was really, really strong on release, Super Baby 2. But it's just from the perspective of people that actually had him at higher stars, just because of the nature of what he was trying to accomplish and how he was designed as a defensive character that is built off of taking hits. And that's essentially what this Goku Black is. So I would say if you're somebody who's really only looking to go for like maybe 1 or 2 copies of characters, and that's how you play the game, that's, really what, is realistic for you, then I would say that this banner is probably just automatically not going to be on your radar, just because if you're not really going to go for the main character of the banner, it's hard to justify summoning. However, I would say this banner probably is one of the exceptions to the rules, because this banner is actually very, very good. So Goku Black himself, like I said, I would say he's good, but it's going to depend on how many copies you're going to get of him, and I guess a lot of it's going to depend on what we see in Part 2 and Part 3 of Legends Fest, which I'll get to at the end of the video. LF Omega Shenron is still a very strong character. I think this guy is going to age pretty well. Indestructible is like a very timeless mechanic so far. We've never seen any character that can nullify it. He has the ability to get Dragon Balls really fast. Double card draw speed is very consistent. Cover Null is very consistent for him. He's able to support the team in the form of ultimate damage up when he uses his own ultimate. Just a really good character all around. Easy type neutrality as well. Nappa, I would say, like, this guy, I don't really know if anybody's going to be summoning on this banner specifically because they want to pull Nappa. I would just say that he's a good like booby prize, I guess is the terminology I would use for this character. It's nice to pull him, but you're not aiming to pull him, right? It's nice to have this character in your account. In the off chance you just need like a third filler Saiyan character that can eat Rising Rushes on your team. That's really what the role of this character is here at this point. Super 17, I would say, is probably one of the better aging characters in the game at this point. I mean, he's been out for 11 months, 10 months almost. Actually, no, it has been over 10 months, yeah, basically. Since he dropped, was the end of January. So yeah, right around 10 months since he dropped. And I would say he's still he's definitely not as good as he was on release, because he was like number 1 on release, but he's still very good. So this guy is still a very good pickup for those people who don't have him or don't have many copies of him. This cell, I think we could be seeing a unique equipment for him probably within the next 6 months or something like that. We are certainly due to get an Ultra Cell. I would say almost like a 99% chance in 2025. And whatever campaign that Ultra Cell releases in, I would say there's a very good chance that we could see a unique equipment for this cell, or potentially even a Zenkai. But there's also the older purple cell that could get one as well. So I'm not going to go crazy with that. But this character is like in that, I guess, area where he could get a unique equipment, because we saw one for Namek Goku who dropped after this guy. Already have one. So these guys could be getting a Zenkai. I think I'll say this: if these guys get a Zenkai, the value of this banner goes up even more, and it goes up by a lot more. So, you know, not really much I could say about that right now, because we don't know if it's happening or not, but this character has the potential to change the game, literally, if they get a Zenkai. So just letting you know. This guy, I would say, is just mid at best, probably full power Frieza. I mean, he has an interesting mechanic with the anti-endurance just at all times, similar to the androids, but he's just outdated besides that one aspect. This guy's still pretty good. Fusion Zamasu, the Zenkai version of him. I think he's a very good character, so I'm going to, you know, sort of loop him into that same classification as being a really good pull on this banner. This guy's terrible, bad. These guys seem okay. To me, they're like almost a gimmick character. Again, I've only used them once, so I'm not really going to be able to give like an in-depth analysis of exactly how good I think they are, but they seem to be more of a gimmick character, similar to how the Evil Containment Wave Roshi was when he dropped with the Revival UI Goku back in February of 2023. But these guys definitely seem a little bit more capable outside of just that one gimmick. So maybe they can be good. They have a lot of teams. That's a really good thing about them. And they have a double typing. So it's easy for them to get Zenkai buffs. That's the main difference between this character and Roshi, right? Roshi was only on Super Warriors and Universe Reps. Outside of that, he had no teams. Whereas this character this character legitimately has like 100,000 tags. Can we look at them here? This character has androids, future, regen, GT, and then I guess if do you want to actually consider Lineage of Evil to be a real team? I guess we can. That's 5 real teams in the game that they're on. That's really good considering they have 2 typings. So their Zenkai options are essentially limitless. Like, you're going to be able to easily double Zenkai them on like every team. Raid Shenron, I think, is still really good as well. Like, just as a 1% sparking, just really annoying character, but he's a good character in terms of how strong he is. This character is probably bad. 16 is like good for Proud, I guess, and then Magenta's just outdated. This guy is also outdated. This guy's outdated. No. I would say this guy can be okay, as crazy as that sounds. I wasn't a huge fan of him when I was using him, but this guy could be a little bit better now that we actually have like actual future characters in the game. Like, you run this guy with Vegito Blue and Goku Black, so this guy could be okay, but I don't even know if I would put him in the discussion of like reasons why you would summon on this banner. Yellow Goku Black is also not great, but at least he could Zenkai buff the main one if you pull him. But overall, I mean, you have this guy who I'd say is a good pull. Good pull. I would say he's like a half a point, this Nappa. Good pull. I'd give like half a point to this guy. Question mark for now. Good pull. Good pull. Good pull. So this banner is actually pretty good. If you're directly comparing this banner with the Vegito Blue banner, I would easily say this banner is probably like far and away better. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. If I was going to rate this banner out of 10, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. It's pretty good, actually. So if you're thinking about, should I summon for Vegito's banner or Rose's banner, I would say definitely, in terms of value for your CC, the Rose banner is going to be better. But, you know, maybe down the road, it's going to be better to look back at the Vegito banner and be like, I should have pulled on his banner. And that's going to bring me to the last point that I'll talk about. Legends Fest always, unless they change things up, which I doubt, has had 3 parts. This is part 1. We're going to be heading into part 2 in about 2 weeks. Last year for part 2, we got Goku and Bardock, which I think this year we're probably going to be getting 2 banners in part 2, whatever it ends up being. But Goku and Bardock last year ended up being one of the more defining characters of the Legends Fest meta, alongside the character that released in part 3, who was Ultra UI Goku, right? Ultra UI Goku and Goku and Bardock essentially created one of the worst metas ever, but they were still the 2 strongest characters in the game at the time. So keep in mind, while these characters look really strong, which is the almost exact same situation as last year, the part 1 characters last year weren't considered to be on the best setup in the game by the end of Legends Fest. So there's a chance that could happen again this year. but there's also a chance it doesn't. So what I would recommend, if you notice, these banners are both up to January 15th, right? This one and this one, they're both up to January 15th, and that includes the double rates and double Z power with the summon coins. So what I would say is the most smart way to handle these banners is I would at least wait to see what the ultra is going to be in part 3. I know it's going to take a lot of mental discipline and patience to not immediately summon on these banners, but if you want to make the most out of your resources, the best way to do this is to wait and see what part 3 is, and then you can decide, do I want to summon on the part 1 banners, the part 2 banners, the part 3 banners, or, you know, maybe potentially all of them or none of them. Maybe you want to do like a few multis on this one, maybe a few on that one. So to me, that always is the better choice because it gives you more information to make a more informed decision on which banners and characters are the best for you and your account status. So that's what I'll say here. Rose banner definitely trumps the Vegito blue banner. But ultimately, my recommendation, if you want to be maximum efficiency level, is don't summon yet, wait for the other 2 parts to drop, and then make your decision. So let me know down below what you guys think. Or have you already summoned? I imagine most of you guys probably have, just because this is a very exciting time. And like I said at the beginning of this video, if you are just a fan of Vegito and you really want to summon for Vegito because you know you're going to enjoy using him, go ahead. And if you're a fan of Goku Black, you think you're going to have a lot of fun using Goku Black because you like the character, no issues at all with that either. So end of the day, supposed to have fun with the game, but from a value standpoint, I would say yes, just hold on for a second and evaluate the next 2 parts of Legends Fest, and then you can make a better informed decision. So hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one.